Shanti. 2 days before, I was asked if I would want to be interviewed on healing. So I looked at Sister Meera. I said, "What? Why? Me?" I didn't say anything because we are so used to accepting, but in my mind that suddenly why this topic has been chosen, and secondly why I have to be interviewed. Didn't give much thought to it because the way time passes. Of course, this morning I had a little chat with Jacqueline and she shared a brief experience with me, and then this afternoon I was actually thinking, and it became really quite a big subject when I start churning on that. And I won't take that as a full subject, but I will just open it and give some outlines, and let's see what Jacqueline has to ask and further add to that. We know that Confluence age is the age of healing and to become complete. Because if there is any kind of wound, any kind of crack, anything which is left, something is missing, then soul cannot become complete. And we know that Baba is the greatest and the highest healer. Baba has, through knowledge, through his light and might, given all of us many beautiful experiences of being healed. There could be quite a long list of that what requires to be healed. And when I was really making list, I thought it could be one's own thinking. A lot of suffering can come through one's own not right way of thinking. I'm not talking of here useless thoughts or negative thoughts, but there is a way to think. And like when you don't know how to walk, you do not have proper way, then you hurt your body more. Anytime you want to do something and you are not in a proper posture, you end up in damaging some of the organs. Same happens with the mind. Ability of mind is very delicate and very subtle, and actually it's very pure. It's very pure. Because of any loss, defeat, lack of success, damage, misunderstandings, miscommunications. Some people have habit that they always say things and kind of accuse you. And all these things hurt. They hurt. When Baba comes and he says, "Well, stop hurting yourself." He said, "But it's not me, it came from someone else." He said, "No, you have to take responsibility. And you shouldn't allow that suffering or hurt or loss, defeat or deceit, even to feel sometimes that I have been deceived and it was not like that. So it could be a long list with the mind. And some people, they experience in their life that their even intellect somewhere has put itself in a limit. If you give them a task, they will say, "I can only do this much." But maybe there is a capability within intellect. And I feel that not allowing to give chance to your own self to open and to grow. Also in a way that maybe it has been hurt. There hadn't been that success, or there must be some reasons from our past experiences. When Baba comes, he talks of wisdom. You don't have to be intellectual. Very, very simple intellect can function as a wisdom, as very sensible way. And in some, all that then comes emotions and feelings. They are so delicate, they are so fragile. Even we know that nobody should touch those emotions and feelings. I know that for about 6-8 months, at least for myself, I had kept this aim that I will not allow any external situation to reach so deep that they change my feelings. Because I want to maintain pure feelings. I want to maintain bhavana towards everyone. I want to have unlimited towards everyone. So it's just protection in the sense of that, okay, you watch, you listen, you interact, you listen properly, everything you do it. But then how you still keep your emotions and your feelings intact, not broken or not mixed, or which there is always possibility. But also sometimes it's the habits. If we are addictive to anything, that hurts a lot too. Some people have habit of talking, like when they talk, you know that when they're talking, there's no reasoning, or sometimes they repeat it, or sometimes it could become abusive, even they're not aware of that. And we know that language abuse in the sense of saying things in a way as you are boss and trying to control. And these things are also, it's the habit, but then what it does is hurts the personality of a leader, of a person, or one's own behavior pattern. But then all combination of that start affecting also body, because body is so deeply connected, each part of body, very deeply with our feelings, our emotions, but also it could be in relationships. Sometimes relationships are so torn. And because if few are torn, sometimes we lose hope and we say, well, you just isolate yourself, or you start depending too much, or you just select people in relationship. All that is happening because of some kind of hurt which has happened. But Baba puts it together as a whole picture, that when there is body consciousness and interaction is based on 5 vices, it will be hurt. Whether it's ego, or whether it's anger, or it's attachment, it's hurting yourself and hurting others, harming yourself, harming others, deceiving yourself, deceiving others. And that has happened, we know. But how it's not that as soon as we come to Baba, we are able to erase everything or just change. Yes, lot of transformation happens, lot. Each Baba's child, I think, has big percentage of transformation as soon as we become Brahmins. In our lifestyle, in our habit, in our thinking, in our practices, in our beliefs, in all that, if you look at the list of transformation which has happened in Baba's child. Only few parts which are more like not knowing the deep sanskars, which again emerge and we again get hurt. Or sometimes it's my sanskar with someone else's sanskars. But cause really is one of the vices, but then vices have become sanskars, habits, and our thinking. So I didn't just start with that, but we know that there is karmic accounts. So many different ways we created different karmic accounts, and then when we are together as Baba's children, sometimes, as I said, you look at someone and you expect a big smile, and that Baba's child doesn't smile, and you say, but what wrong I did that I didn't get smile? She generally smiles to everyone, but, or maybe that's the time that soul is thinking something else, not with the intent not to smile. It happens to us many times, like you are passing and suddenly you know you have to reach somewhere and you don't look around and you want to go in your room or where you have your appointment. And few souls definitely say, but you didn't look up, you didn't smile. And I said, well, we don't need to smile because our face is smiling. I always remind myself that I want to keep my face well and smiling, so I don't have to make a special expression of smile. People say, oh, look well, pleasant, yes. But if you are too grim and too serious and too blossomed with Baba's light and your own good wishes, your face has that beauty, that smile, that cheerfulness, that pleasantness, which as a yogi everyone should have, no? If I tell someone, why your face is not so happy? Oh, my face is like that, she said. She said, oh, my face is like that since childhood. I said, no, that cheerfulness is really comes from your deep state of mind, and many, many different ways then to heal yourself. Of course, the first is let Baba's light, Baba's love, Baba's power heal me. When I had to decide about surgery, and I live in the United States where a patient has to be responsible and sign by saying that's what I am deciding. And I was in that process of deciding what I would want to do, what I will do. Just take Baba's love, light and might, and based on that, let my intellect decide or discuss whatever is necessary. But then also what I find is there are some of deep characteristics, they should be very, very positive, like forgiveness. Because when you forgive, then at least you start process of healing yourself and then others also. Kindness. Kindness is the act of kindness, they are very simple acts. But they could be so much healing, so much healing. A little example of, if you are drinking tea and someone is around and if you say, would you want to have a cup of tea? When I went to some places, people said, here nobody asked anyone. I said, but I don't want to discontinue. What I like to do is, if I'm making tea, if I keep 3 cups of water or 1, doesn't matter. If it's good at one time, 3 cups can be made. It's a natural kind of human feelings of sharing and generosity. I know that we are so aware of our not creating karmic accounts that sometimes we don't know what to do and what not to do. Am I creating karmic account by offering you a cup of tea or not? I know that we Brahmins are so careful about not creating more accounts than what we already have accumulated. But I find that something which has been done. But that's where one thing which yesterday Luciana mentioned, but also I think sometimes that your own goodness could also be your goodness, or speciality could also start acting as your weak point if you are not balancing it. Like if I have tolerance and I'm accumulating, and then one day I burst like a volcano and say, 30 times you have said this. So I counted. 30 times you have said same thing to me. I'm accumulating, so I'm hurting myself. I'm not tolerating. And then it could become it's damaging to accumulate all that. Rather I would say, well look, this is not something right, and You don't have to be subservient, you don't have to be. Honesty with tolerance is important. So if you start looking at each virtue, and if that virtue is also becoming a kind of pressure on you, because you're not balancing it with some other virtues. So there are many, many different ways one can start understanding that how to protect myself, not only protect, but also help other souls. Like when you are happy, you don't have to say anyone, others feel happy looking at you. Because the vibrations, through thoughts and through image, how much we share. If food is offered, you don't like it, but you make a very funny face, other person also starts saying, oh my goodness. But if you say, well, I don't like it, this is not my choice, that's all right. You don't have to make such expression, which... So the very, very little things could hurt. You know what I'm saying? Like, we get into... Some kind of effect is there. So how to remain holistic, both ways, as holy and holistic, both. As a whole being, I don't want... Personality shouldn't be divided. Which is known through your behavior pattern. When you are divided, and your moods and your patterns keep changing. So the trust of people is not there. So self-respect and self-trust, something very important to heal yourself. Baba is respecting me, let me have that self-respect and self-trust. I can go into detail of each one. When I start thinking, I thought, it's so much, I could just write few chapters actually, in each area. How it happens, what had been happening, how we can recover. Recovery is the big thing, and then comes healing. But if you're not recovering, and gentlemen talk of discovering, and I was thinking of recovering. That also happens through discovering. It always happens when you are in emergency. First you recover and then you heal. No? So some of us being able to recover means we find ways and then also start healing ourselves so that holiness, our purity is not a pressure, it's not a control, it's not even a discipline, it's the nature, my nature, that's what I am. That's the stage I need to. When Baba says complete purity means nature, natural. And just keep changing struggle into surrender. Surrender for me in the sense of go to Baba. Surrender is not I lay my arms and say I'm surrendered. Surrender to me is, Baba, I can do up to this, now you help me. Going to Baba is a way to surrender, so that your struggle, time and energy, and the personality of struggle. Some people in life always get things by fighting, by asking, and some get it by their fortune, by their right way of actions. Because they go to Baba very often. I know Jacknik has done a lot of questions for me. But as I said, I was first wondering why she had this thought in my mind, and then you clarified. And so these were some of my thoughts, and I know that I will explore more this subject and see how we can discuss more and more.
In fact, it was after a class you took a few days ago that the thought came to my mind to talk to you about healing. Because the whole meditation, and especially your meditation commentary, was like a healing in itself. So I was talking to a few of us, and I said to one sister, I had a stiff neck, and after the meditation it was completely gone, so something must have happened. And she was sharing the same experience. So that made me think what kind of power you were generating at that moment to us. So that's why the thought came. But I thought about something Daddy Jenki said last night. She said, all the diseases originate in the mind. So now as Brahmins we have to pay a lot of karmic account with the bodies. So is it the present state of mind which creates the body, or is it an old account? And can you change something in your mind too when you have to go through the healing process of the body?
It's not only mind at present, but mind is very old too. At least 2,500 years old mind. Just imagine, since we lost our stage of soul consciousness and purity. So I see mine as very old mind. I don't see just as present. And as you said in a right way, that through knowledge and through realizations, and we make a lot of changes. And I agree, means that somewhere, not mind, but there is something in your sanskar. Because even karmic account is a sanskar within you. So then that becomes the cause of some kind of physical, expression in the form of ailment, disease or sickness, whatever. I do see that the cause is there, but also I sometimes feel what I know now, if I knew 50 years ago, maybe I could have done better. Mm-hmm. And since Baba always had been mentioning for many Maharathis that you didn't use knowledge of body properly, then I had this recent experience. And Baba sent a few messages, but one of the first message left very deep impact on me. Of course, the titles he gave, Carefree King and Brave, because for me, whatever is there, and the fear and all that is not, I didn't been allowing that to happen. But then when Baba said, no, what is also important is precaution and also some rest. And I keep reminding myself of that. That means I shouldn't just forget in the sense of whether it's eating, whether it's rest. And so somewhere I just remind myself, because when I had surgery 4 years ago, I remembered for a year and then I forgot. So people say, oh, you are in the same phase, you are same. And because it's so easy to go back into that pattern. And now I always remind myself that I want to do everything what I have to do. I don't want to miss anything, and I want that efficiency, planning, everything to do. But then it's only possible if, depends on my well-being, if my mind, intellect, body functions in a proper way, then only I can do. Otherwise, how will I do? So even if I have, let's say, rested, but it's not that I have reduced my work. Some people feel guilty for everything. If they rest half an hour extra, they feel guilty. Oh, Baba said, don't waste time, don't waste. But you haven't wasted, because that rest has helped you to be recharged again and think fresh, think clearly. And what I find, at least in my energy, that there is more energy than what I would have, and I'm ready for more tasks.
I like to come back to the question I just asked you. 4 years ago you had quite a surgery, and also last year. You don't have to tell us in detail, but I'm just wondering, did you figure out how the mind and the body were connected in that particular disease 4 years ago and also last year? If it originates in the mind, this is the question.
No, I didn't. But actually what happened is that it became a challenge more for mind than body. Because I was going really with a very fast speed of getting things accomplished. And then suddenly doctor said, well, I don't have very good news for you. I said, well, I know tomorrow you have to stop. I said, no, I have my ticket, I am going to Canada. It was Rakhi time, and 2 months I knew. So I told him that whatever is there, no, it must be there.
So how did you know?
In discovery, yeah. How did I know?
Before the doctor told you?
No, what happened, I just, generally like annual checkups, especially in United States, if you are told to go every 3 months to doctor, and if you don't go, they don't take responsibility. So at least after first surgery, I had been on a regular basis. I had to visit some of the doctors to keep the record on. So he was just joking with me, "You all right, you all right?" I said, "Yeah, I'm fine." Then I said, "Well, I do feel a little bit indigestion." And he said, "Oh, you have gallbladder?" I said, "Yes, I have." He said, "But go for sonogram, maybe it's functioning well or not." Time to time they look at your thyroid or look at, protein in your body is extra, like all these kinds of tests, they keep doing it. And then when I went for sonogram, then this lady said, hold on. And she called, she was doing sonogram a few other parts around, and she went and called the doctor, and she said, I want doctor to see. Generally they don't do that. And so then she said, we're noticing something as a growth in your right kidney. And it was 8 o'clock in the morning, and by 12 they called my physician and said, just stop her, she has to go for MRI scanning, this, that. I said, I'm not doing anything. And he started convincing Kalaben that, you have to convince her. I said, I agree, I accept it, but I don't think I'm going to. You have to give me time to. So it was found, discovered. And that's where doctors are so surprised that there was no symptoms, nothing was there. So they keep telling me that it's God is with you, that even something has happened to you, but it always had been discovered, a very initial stage, and they get very surprised, and very thankful, and they really kind of rejoice after that even if it happened, but it was so minor, even it was in the major part of body. So it really was suddenly discovered. So in a way I just, as I said, I had to work on mind more because of time factor, and and then I said, I have to go to Madhuban, I have this much duration, but I said that it was drama and appropriate, but I couldn't necessarily think with the mind, and then they said it must be there a few years, but they discovered at the right time. So.
But it's an art to take responsibility for your health and also not to be careless. So I'm just wondering, you were explaining to us your surgery 4 years ago. For 1 year you changed your lifestyle, then you forgot. So then you got your second surgery. Did it remind you that you again had to change your lifestyle, or did you do something else?
See, one of the things medical science never tells you is the cause, because they don't know the cause. And they don't believe in supplements. They necessarily don't believe in your, basically they will say eat more vegetables, go for long walks, but then what happens, at least we live in a society where there is a lot of information. And just imagine, some or other, 1 or 2, 5, 10 people came to know. I don't know how they came to know, because I know that Kalaben became little bit, so maybe she was whispering. And that's how we decided to give news, because we knew that people will be talking and thinking and assuming, let's give a clear picture to everyone. But basically, as I said, that I'm a kind of well-read person about body. And as far as knowledge is concerned, that every part of the body needs oxygen. Every cell needs oxygen, and every cell needs something raw, which cells can blossom and grow, then gradually aging. And knowing all that, I knew that what I was not doing, which I should have done, is more walk on regular basis, or just go in open and, or balance it with salads and things like that. So I did realize that I could have taken that responsibility based on the knowledge of the body then. And then also, like, there are so many things these days. Everyone start telling you so many things. I have this much books which were sent to me. Every website, few pages were sent to me. Oh, unlimited. And few I read, and not necessarily I want to read all that. But I'm just giving example, that whole understanding that body is of 5 elements, right? Now this whole thing of drinking water. So what are 5 elements in the body? Water, air, earth,
fire,
sky, and fire. So 1 ounce per 1 pound of your weight, you need water. It makes sense, because when you wheat flour, bake bread, and you have less water, bread will be very hard. No? So I naturally start making sense to me, because to me, you just do it because somebody is asking you to do. Okay, then you do a few days, then you say, but I have to walk with bottle of water all the time. I went sometime to one country, I had this bottle at airport. When I sat in the car, I drink, and they said, oh no, you keep these baby bottles with you. That's very common in America. Even speakers on the stage have their bottles. So you go from a culture, and so I said, it's not a baby bottle, it's a water bottle. No, I'm just joking then. But it made so much sense that certain proportion your body is water, and if it doesn't get, and then it says that if you do not drink enough, body is scared, so body retains water, so you gain weight. Because body doesn't get enough water, so it's holding water. But more you drink, it releases water. You understand? I am not expert, but these 2 things made a lot of sense to me. That you need 1 ounce per 1 pound of your body to drink that much water. Plus then, second important thing, which was that why body retains water? Because you're not giving enough. But if you give enough, so that means body is so sensibly connected with the soul. Even if it doesn't have life, but nature has its own energy, it has its own life. So it gets scared. Like there are some people, let's say, you eat something more than you want to eat. You like a food, a kind of tasty diet, and you eat. And they say because in your previous birth maybe you didn't get enough. That's how people say that. Really? There is a very important person, his name was Wise, what was his last name? A few years ago. And we had a big program in Miami for Global Cooperation, and that day he was in Miami Herald, Sunday Times, all everywhere. And he's a psychologist, but he wrote a very popular books on something on many lives, and so he was talking about, what was his name? Brian Weiss, huh? Brian Weiss. Yeah, right, many minds. And so what he was just saying that every habit, because it comes from, so he was saying that, let's say some people like a lot of salt, a lot of sugar, because they were deprived of some, like so deeply habits of eating also somewhere connected with our taste and everything. So what I'm saying, then second, what is element in body required is air. And we sit here for hours sometimes, doors closed, there's no ventilation. I'm saying, even, one thing I always say, somebody asked me, we have a program called Love in Leadership every year, and at Peace Village, that's first week on April. So I am a resource person with other leaders, and first thing they asked me, but what as a leader you did for people? I said 3 things. Hygiene is important, good food is important, and good ventilation wherever every individual lives. Because you go in some of the rooms, they are so dark and they are so damp, and here is the individual living year after year, thinking it's Baba, faith and everything, but body is not getting enough air. So I'm just saying why fresh air is important, why walk is important, because air is part of your body. So what we give maximum to body is food. We only talk about food, but food is only one element, no? Food is only one element. So little bit of that it was my churning actually on didn't want it to do as a practice, but I wanted to, and it made a lot of sense that 5 elements need all 5 elements. And we don't give in proportion, we give food a lot and not other elements, and then it gets out of balance.
I was just thinking about the food we are being offered here, which is Brahma Bhojan, and it's filled with good vibrations, but there's also a lot of salt and sugar and fat and all those things. What should we do? I mean, we can't refuse toli, do we? Or we can't say we don't want to eat Brahma Bhojan. But if you really want to be sensible, you can't eat all the food all the time.
There are 2 things. I feel at Baba's home there is enough choice. For me, like if there is beans and I find it's a lot of salt, then I take yogurt and vegetable. I will balance it that one, like in the morning I will say, no, I don't need to have salty breakfast, so there is something. So there is enough choice. And secondly, the food which is cooked here is healthy. Why is healthy for here? Because when you are in the countries where people have to labor a lot, they perspire a lot. So their bodies need more salt. But in Western countries or some of the countries where we sit in the car, it's rarely like, even if we perspire, might be heat, but not necessarily. So, sugar and salt, I find basically, means sugar I don't necessarily agree with, that should be, but salt I find that you need more when you are country like this, or especially in summer. Everyone drinks, or I was in Caribbean islands, they will cut raw mango when it's really hot, and put a lot of salt and a lot of red pepper, and every child in the school is carrying that bag of raw mango because it protects the child from heat wave. So when I travel country to country and look at their food, and I feel their climatic conditions actually has created some of the proportionate habits on what they eat, how they eat, and like raw foods are very good, but then parasites which are connected with raw foods. If it's cooked food, then how much, so I think what is important, like I remember Dr. Ashok Mehta once said, that the best food is really Indian food because, if it's in proportion all the time, because it has protein, it has vitamins, it has a very good balance, calcium, and so and I do appreciate because the teeth and the skin and the bones require certain minerals, certain proteins, certain things, and diet here. So I feel that diet is okay, but as I said, everyone's system is different. When we come here, like dispensary here, recently doctor came to me and the nurse, and they said, they like things, they eat, but sometimes they eat little more, and then they get sick. Then they have diarrhea, then we have to put them on drip, then we have to... Now they think that way, that I just give example that you have yogurt, you have milk, you have jam, you have pickle, you have this. For me, either I will choose yogurt or milk, because we know both cannot go together. But many don't know. So if there are 7 buckets, they take all 7. They think Brahma Bhojan. And with me, I will just choose 4, that this is what I can comfortably manage in the morning. But we cannot say why they make it, because when we talk to them, they say if we do not put enough selection, then also some say, oh, I want it salty, I want it sweet, I wanted this. And so they say, okay, let's put enough variety. But you could choose, no? Many times they come to me, many doctors, and tell me that can you all educate when Westerners come, that when they see all this stuff, they should take less quantity. They don't need to have big bowl, they can have less. I'm just giving example that salt is there, but if you have beans, if you take half of the bowl instead of one full, you will have half salt. So when I discuss both parties in the sense of with all of you and with them, because I coordinate a lot of food. This year I didn't do, but I was told, so I start going again and talking to them, why don't you do? They have reasons too, of course with whatever limit we have in providing, but in their heart basically is that there is enough variety so that you choose what you want. Quantity and selection, I would suggest, is the best way to deal with.
You were talking about the 5 elements. Baba often tells us you have to conquer the 5 elements. How do you see this in your whole healing journey of your diseases?
See, as mind influences body, in the same way body influences mind too. Like if you are not, if you have pain, and then when you want to sit and concentrate, you cannot concentrate. Body has a lot of, influence on mind too. And so that is why actually, I feel that each one of us have to know yourself as you know your soul. In the same way, know your body's requirement, and I think that could help us a lot. And for me, because I belong to Yagya, I also live in West, for me both worlds are one world, and I never make a comment here for anything, because I feel it's my Yagya. And I suggest and I propose, and same is when I am in other countries or wherever I am. I could suggest and propose to make it like, okay, let's see what is the best way. But when Baba says be conqueror of matter is in the sense of like, let's say there could be certain situations, like when this news came to me, and we didn't tell Dadis for 2 months, and I told Kalaben, please let Rakhi be over. I don't want them to know before Rakhi. Let everyone celebrate Rakhi, because I knew that it could become a concern. And why should I? They are pure souls. Why should their thoughts be? I believe that less people should know that, so that less thoughts are there. But I discussed a lot with Nirvan Bhai, and I said, I don't want family necessarily to know, because I will be all right and nobody will know. And he said, no, we are trustees of our bodies, and families' good wishes. And I know a lot of countries, souls here came and they said it was so good to share, because they felt that kind of togetherness. But at that time, like 2 months keeping that thought, like knowing what is in the body, I didn't let influence my mind, So conquering matter or conquering elements or body, what it really means that it shouldn't affect, I was very much in after surgery, or when I came to New York after 5 days, next morning I had meeting. And doctor said, take your time, don't get so intense. But I started activities. There was not much time wasted. There was really no pain, there was no suffering. And so Dadi Janki used to call me from South Africa and give me 10 minutes class every morning. Every morning, 10 minutes. And I told her, and she keeps saying, these are purifications. He fixes it, repairs it, makes it new so that one can run, makes us the conqueror of the matter. So when these situations come, and I remember so many words, and Dadi Gulzar will call every day, and Dadiji will call. And even when I was going for surgery, it was Thursday morning, so everyone said, you will offer bhog? I said, of course. So I had to reach hospital 6, we offered bhog at 5. And I shared Baba's message, and all 3 Dadis called before I was leaving. And I felt like when I went in hospital, this Tirmurti, for me, it like new Tirmurti. I said, there is God, but there is this new Tirmurti with me. And I just felt that it was Baba and Tirmurti, that is this life which I have now. That dedication and commitment became so deeper. And so conquering matter really is that you're not scared. And I was not thinking about future or anything. I said, whatever, because I am so contented with whatever I did in 40 plus years that I don't have regrets. I don't have, I should have done more. I did best every day of the life in my capacities. And so I was very content. But then these 3 Trimurtis were like, Dadi Gulzar said, but Baba had talked to you twice. That role you haven't played yet is still a big role. Okay. And I keep, all the blessings and good wishes. And of course, again, because Dadi Gulzar appreciated, because I could say I was conqueror in the sense, because it didn't really affect me. And secondly, what certificate I was able to give myself, that I was not pulled by soul, any object, any duties, response, nothing. And I was so happy, in the sense, oh really? Because my Lokik family, they want to come there. I said, no, it's okay. I have big family around me, and I didn't let anyone emotionally, those who were involved because of their family relationship, I didn't let anyone, I said no. So they will listen to my voice on phone and they say, but you sound so well. I said, but that's what I'm saying, that I am well. So I think that, of course, this could be one of the certificate which we need to get. But what I it still didn't make sense to me that why it happened. Because then I realized that a soul has to have an act, like I was performing an act, where whole yajna in a way was meditating. Mm-hmm. And I just felt that there was some shift which was happening in a new way. And so I deeply started accepting this was just as an act. One had to put that as an act. Mm-hmm. So it was very beautifully, a lot of realizations and a lot of good experiences.
And so you have precautions, and then you can say you had your surgery, so there was a curing going on. But then talking about healing, you told me this morning that you start sending Baba's energy through your body. Can you explain this a little bit further?
I remember that last year, I never used to give commentaries because I used to say either you can give drishti or commentary. So people said just give drishti. So they keep telling me give commentary, I said I'm not a commentary person. So I used to go behind in the audio room and do it if they forced me to do. And then gradually I found that it's helping Brahmins so much. I didn't want it to do for outside, but to start helping Brahmins so much, I said, but then why I can't do it? So that's where I got it. But then also, let's say I give example that whatever you are experiencing in your mind, your breath is connected with mind. So if mind is peaceful, your breath should be peaceful, isn't it? But your heart is going like this and I'm peaceful. So what is happening? I feel one of the reason of sickness in Dadis is spiritually and physically we're not able to align. That's my reasoning. I'm not saying it came in Murli. And I find that whenever I'm very spiritually high, my body rejects it because I'm not able to align. And then every time I find my alignment is getting better. Like Dadi Janki at this time, her alignment has just become like proper. Before also, whenever she was spiritually, and we knew, Dadi, go slow. Go. We knew because next thing is she is in bed. And that was because it's a clash happening between your pure energy and matter in a very subtle way, which I discovered. So now I always if I get very enthusiastic, then I say, okay, it will happen. Because before that my heart starts jumping and I just want to do this. And sometimes I feel I really want to run, but it's not that body is capable of that, So alignment of matter and spirituality is something which I'm kind of learning, and I haven't shared with anyone, but it's my churning which gave me a lot of conclusions of why this happened. Or when people say, oh now, when all Dadis, why it's happening. And I find because of that, sometimes lack of that alignment, and as much we start understanding, then so during this commentary, I used to feel that it's like through the thoughts, first your body should receive. You should respect your body and let it receive. Peace always we think for the world, but what about my own body? Mm-hmm. So calmness of the body, regulated breathing which happens, sometimes I notice when you are really meditating, people say why you all don't do pranayam. So one of the reasons I used to give is that when you are really meditating, your breathing is pranayam means regulating breathing. Pran means breathe and niyam means regulated breathing. So if your thoughts are really calm and you're with God, your breathing will naturally become in a rhythm. not regulated, but rhythm. That's what they meant, whether it's exhale or inhale, but that will really happen. So I started realizing that, and then my surgeon also had heard my 2 talks one time. He said, it's easy for you. You tell us, no, that give light and might to yourself. He said, that's what you have to do. He's telling me. So I said, well, thank you for reminding me. And then he said, one time he came, I was talking on positive thoughts. He said, what you need is just that, no? Which you already have anyway. So that surgeon had heard 2 talks and he gave me both lessons back. Think positive and then give light and might. So whatever I'm receiving from Baba, give to yourself first. We always think of radiating, sharing. So we go out quickly. So last year I remember during my commentary I said, let's go, let's reach into these elements. This is part of the world. You have a small world. And many souls had come to me and said that they had never thought, and it helped them so much, that because what happens, your energy, because that sustains, nurtures. Because sometimes diseases are bad habits, wrong lifestyle, but sometimes also a lot of control of your, like many times we find that when we always sit like this, it's good. It's good to sit, but you find that your shoulders are not straight. One of the quality of a king and queen is straight shoulder, because they have personality when they walk. But we walk always like this, we sit like this, because we are yogis, So, but yogis can sit like this too. I'm just giving examples. So sometimes we are not clear about certain things. I remember that sofas, I go to meet these VIPs and they always sit on chair. And once I asked Dr. James Joseph, why don't you sit? He said, no, sofa is not good for back. I sit on a straight chair. I'm just giving example that understanding of what your body, but sometimes lack of that, we as a yogi start kind of controlling, and then finally we find, like somebody told me that Brahmins always sit like this, and which is not healthy. Should sit like this, because your lower backbone is twisting. And a lot of Brahmins have back pain. These are little things when people talk. And with me, I am a person, I immediately say, well, makes sense, Why you can't sit like this, always sit like this? So we fold ourselves, we don't allow a kind of, because you are a lotus or you are a flower, should blossom. Because soul and body both are becoming pure, no? So, even elements are not pure now. So healing can be done through giving yourself light and might, peace, love. Alignment should happen. You have given enough to yourself, and then you could stand in front of the world in a nice way and share that message too. But there are many little other things which are my discoveries during these journeys.
So when you were doing that meditation commentary a few days ago, you were also sending light and might to your own body first?
That was because I had mentioned that let's be in our subtle form. Because see, your each ability, like mind, things, but between incorporeal and corporeal, there is this angelic stage. And while talking, that day when I came, I started talking, or somewhere else also, and I start feeling that I'm not in a physical way, I'm not looking in a physical way. I start feeling a deeper sense in an angelic form. Because that day I had mentioned, so it took me for a few seconds just to be in that angelic form. And I found it was amazing experience, even for my own self. So I think that if we understand and if we keep aim and align between corporeal, subtle and incorporeal, that's another alignment to either we become very subtle or very incorporeal or very corporeal, but it has to be from corporeal, incorporeal, in between. So your feelings and the image of light, which Baba says, it's not your only point of light, but your whole, and people will get the vision, they will see you as light. So all those experiences have to happen from now, no?
You can start at 7 o'clock. Thank you.
So, see, Jacqueline had this thought. I'm sure that something useful has been shared, and I really, I feel it's Baba, and even whatever understanding I am able to get is from Baba. So all the credits and everything goes to Baba. And because at the right time you get right surgeon, right people, right suggestions, right, and you become very thankful and very humble that who is taking care of us. So big healer is there and he's telling us, and we have to take responsibility of our life and live in such a way that people say, well, that's the life I would want to live, Yeah. Knowing myself, and becoming aware of my presence as a soul. A sparkling, a pure, and a peaceful being of light. Yes, this is what I am. The nature of love. Towards the self. More I become aware, that it becomes my experience. Where my all attention has gathered around my own self. I could feel peace, and let every sense organ become peaceful. So that I can look in peace. I can think in peace. And I can breathe in peace. Or I also breathe peace, because that's what I am. A peaceful being. lightness of purity. As a point of light. I can only hold purity. Because that's what I am, a pure being. As this gives me the experience of being the master, I'm even the master of these elements, the body. And as a self-sovereign, occupying the seat of being carefree, all the concerns, all the issues, all unresolved things are left behind. Is self-sovereign. And a carefree. In my royalty of purity. I start looking at some of the qualities from my awareness to my feelings. There is true, spiritual, selfless love towards everyone. The feelings of being open, honest, and truthful. Sharing with kindness and generosity, with no expectations. And as we all together with collective feelings of love, of kindness, of mercy, with this awareness that I go to Baba, not just as a point of light, but with my costume of light, with my avyakt image, so that I can be with Baba. And as I adopt to this image of light, gradually being pulled by Baba. I connect with Baba not just through the thoughts, but with drishti. As incorporeal, in angelic form. Avyakt Bab-Dada shares drishti with us. The beautiful meeting through this glance, where I can feel being merged and allowing my self-identity to be merged in Baba, one who is ocean. It happens naturally and swiftly. as image of love to be merged in one. Whose love and care is always for me. Is God's love. Takes us beyond and fills. It reaches every area of my being. And I allow to be totally touched by God's love. Baba's love work as rays. And helps me to make me feel as I am in this curve of light. I am open to God. And I allow Him to reach all the depths of my being. Baba being knowledgeful, touches and invokes this wisdom which takes me beyond my own reasoning, but makes my intellect divine. Baba is purifier. When touches the deep traces of some sanskars which are left, I feel they being erased. in this silence. This meeting with Baba. Baba's drishti works on the soul. Because he is the one who can only look at soul. Baba shares the responsibility of my life and the task. Baba's drishti creates that worthiness. And the self-respect of this worthiness. And the trust on my own worthiness emerges. These are two beautiful gifts Baba gives us. Baba's drishti makes us elevated. And that's what I am. Baba's drishti make me feel special, and that's what I am. This Baba's drishti makes me feel fortunate. And that's what I am. So now my own drishti towards myself has changed.